Fun fact, did you know sharks have an amazing sense of smell? They can smell a drop of blood a quarter mile away, and they can tell the difference between human blood and fish blood. I heard about a woman named Ocean who was offering to take anyone interested out to swim with sharks. No cage involved. This was before swimming with sharks outside a cage was common, so I was fascinated and knew I had to check it out. I didn't want to go by myself, so I asked all my friends and even my coworkers if anyone would want to join me. No one did. In fact, I had one coworker give me a hug in response, and I was like, "Oh, thanks, what was that for?" She responds with, "'Cause it was nice knowing you," and walked away. Well, I finally found someone to go with me, and as soon as we got there, we had to sign our life away, acknowledging that if something were to happen, Ocean and her crew wouldn't be held liable. We hop on the boat, and Ocean and her crew take us into the middle of the ocean, right where all the sharks hung out. When we got there, we literally could see sharks swimming around the boat. I've never seen that many sharks before, let alone one. And my only reference of sharks was from the movie Jaws, so you can probably imagine how I was feeling at that moment. Anyway, Ocean puts on all her gear and jumps in the ocean first to assess the environment before going in. Then she pops back up and tells us we can jump in. She tells us there's about 30 sharks in the water and everything is in perfect condition. So all four of us jump in, and it was terrifyingly thrilling. There we were, making sure we were close to the boat, just watching the sharks swim all around us and underneath us. We were in the water for a while when, all of a sudden, one of Ocean's crew members on the boat started yelling something. Underwater, you can't really hear anything clearly. It all just sounds like muffled noise. So I popped my head back up to hear what he was trying to tell us. I know at this moment, you're probably thinking, what the hell did you just get yourself into? But that's the thing with fear. Why do we get scared? We get scared because it's unknown. It's like stepping into a dark room and you don't know what's in there, and that uncertainty can feel unsettling. We're biologically wired to scan the environment for something wrong because our brains are wired to seek comfort and safety in the familiar because it's what makes us feel secure and safe. So when we find ourselves in a situation that's unfamiliar to us, our minds start to imagine what could go wrong, even if there's no real reason to think that way. Our mind goes, is there danger I'm not seeing? Am I safe? This kind of fear response would be useful if we were facing something that could actually harm us, like maybe a saber-toothed tiger wanting to have us for lunch. But today, most of our biggest fears are imagined. They pose no real threat. What's worse is that we create them entirely in our mind. Let me just give you a few examples. Fear of losing control, insecurity, anxiety, embarrassment, overwhelm, stress, or feeling inadequate. These are all types of fears, and I'm definitely guilty of all of these. The problem is, our brain reacts the same way to those imagined fears as it does to real threats by putting our body in a constant fight or flight. We often live in this triggered state of fight or flight, and this does not allow us to progress, grow, and face our future head-on with confidence. But there's a way you can combat that with curiosity. You see, curiosity has an excitement, an expansiveness, and a hopeful quality wrapped around in it. In fact, did you know that the body experiences the physical sensation of fear and excitement the same way? The only difference is how our brain tells us how to process the emotion. If we tell our brain that we are curious and excited about something rather than fearful, your brain will approach it in a much different and positive way. Imagine if you just pause for a second and ask yourself, how can I be more curious about this thing that I'm scared or worried about? What could I possibly learn? So Back to my shark story. The crew member on the boat was yelling for us to drop everything and swim that way from the boat, and pointed to a specific direction and said, "Go follow Ocean." I had no idea what was going on, but we just faithfully swam behind her. And as we're swimming, I slowly realized what we were doing. All the while, I thought we were swimming away from something that was scary, but we were actually swimming towards something beautiful. There were 3 humpback whales right in front of us, 2 adult humpback whales, and 1 baby humpback whale. Can you hear them? Can you hear them talking? And yes, all 30 plus sharks were still swimming right underneath us. The part that I didn't add here was that before we got into the water, Ocean educated us on all things shark related. She told us how to act in the water, like don't flail your hands like this because you'll look like squid, or don't splash your fins too much on the surface of the water because then you'll look like a bird. Both squid and bird are part of the shark's diet, and doing those actions will make you look like food. She also told us that just like any animal, sharks are curious creatures and they like to investigate if they see something new. But just like any animal and humans, they are scared of something they can't identify. She also told us how uninterested they are to eat us. Actually, remember the fun fact I added in the beginning? There was a girl with us that had her period that day too. The shark was definitely not interested in her. My point is, approaching this experience with curiosity allowed me to learn more about sharks and helped take away a lot of fear I had. So I want to end with this. It's a beautiful hack you can do. When you find yourself in a situation that leaves you feeling a little bit scared or worried about, put yourself in the mindset of curiosity, because when you do, fear takes a back seat and you'll open yourself up to new possibilities. It's actually biologically impossible to experience fear and curiosity at the same time. So imagine what could be possible if you chose curiosity over fear.